Hey, how's it going? Might look a little bit weird. I'm sitting in the middle of my bedroom wearing a helmet. That's kind of odd for sure, but after some recent comments, I've seen that it is just safer to wear a helmet everywhere you go. You're always protecting your head in case of an accident. In case I trip and fall somewhere, my helmet will protect me here so that I can stay safe. That is essentially what people on one of my last YouTube shorts have been really, really hooked on telling me. So last week I made a video about this really sad, pathetic guy in a GT3 RS wearing racing gear driving out in the canyons, and I clowned on him a little bit, but it was pretty brief because that wasn't the main story I wanted to cover, but it was really notable of how stupid he looked. And I had a YouTube short that I made about it, as I usually do. I'll make YouTube shorts to kind of try and expand the reach of the videos I make. And this short actually took off kind of well. It did pretty well compared to what my channel usually does. I'll link the original video and the short down below so you guys want to see the references I'm talking about here. And I think a big thing I have to thank for why that video did so well was the people arguing with me. I got a lot of comments of people disagreeing with me making fun of the Porsche driver for wearing a helmet and gloves while driving. And a lot of the comments generally covered about the same thing, saying, oh, he's in a dedicated track car. Like, he's out there pushing that car to the rugged limit. You just don't get it, you basic bike boy. Side note also, everyone seemed to think that I was the guy on the motorcycle in that video, even though if you watch the full video, I say that that's Max Wrist Life, that's not me. But then also, if you use the senses, your God-given senses, you would also hear that I sound nothing like Max Wrist Life. At least I don't think so, but hey. But enough of that, let's get into why we're here. So, a lot of people were arguing in the comments saying that I'm wrong for giving this guy lip about him wearing a helmet and gloves in the car, and that he was actually totally in the right for doing that, and that was actually the correct thing to do. And I gave pretty neutral responses, just being like, fair point, I guess, like, I don't really agree, but I'm not the kind of guy to put a full Instagram or YouTube comment arguing with someone trying to change their mind, because I know in this modern day, it's never going to happen no matter how hard you try. I started talking with my friends about it, other very knowledgeable driving people that I have a lot of respect for, and we all were just kind of talking about how silly it was. And it really kind of made me realize how misleading this type of information actually is, and I kind of wanted to come in here and, as much as I'm making a joke out of it, actually talk about the proper uses for a helmet and when it actually makes sense. But one point I want to make before getting into the real nitty-gritty with that, one thing I want to say specifically with the video I made here in general, everyone's giving this guy in the Porsche a lot of credit, and I just think that doesn't make any sense. Everyone's saying that he's wearing the proper safety gear and he's pushing his car to the rugged limits and keeping everything extremely safe. Now, for those who have seen the video and know, or even for those who haven't, I just personally don't see a guy wearing a helmet and gloves with a t-shirt and shorts driving a Porsche with a serious consciousness of safety. Not only that, but also if he really did believe that and believe that this extra safety was necessary, his girlfriend wasn't given anything until everyone made fun of him in the comments. You see it at the start of the video, very briefly, you can see it in the background, I mention it as well, but his girlfriend doesn't have a helmet, so it's also like, if he really is thinking this consciously and safety is that important to him, I don't think it matters that much since his girlfriend isn't wearing any safety gear, so I think that's also people giving him a lot of credit for his mentality of safety. I personally just think he wanted to look cool. I don't feel cool right now, but he must have felt cool driving in the middle of Big Tahunga at 11 a.m. on a Sunday, dressed for a track day, but hey. Now, as far as wearing a helmet and gloves on the street in the middle of the day, there just really is no point for it. Again, you're wearing a helmet. Like, I can go walk around my house for the rest of the day like I am right now. Yeah, I'll be safer if I take a fall, but I look pretty stupid, don't I? Like, this doesn't make sense. Nobody does this. It's the same thing with road cars. Everyone was fighting that the GT3 RS in the video is a track-focused car, and therefore it totally makes sense to wear a helmet because he's pushing the limits. Again, he's not pushing the limits. I can say that pretty confidently. I wasn't there, so obviously I could be wrong, but everything in my power leads me to believe that he was not going for it hard at all. But this GT3 RS, sure, it's a track-focused car, but it's a road car. It's made for the street. And in street cars, they have seatbelts and airbags. And helmets just don't have a place with that safety equipment. Me wearing a helmet in a street car on the street with seatbelts and airbags makes just as little sense as wearing a helmet walking around, going to class, going to work. You know, it's like, you really want to get in on it and have an argument about it. Yeah, it's safer, sure. But this is how you look. This doesn't make any sense. Like, what? I can't believe I have to explain this, that there's certain times and places to wear a helmet where it actually makes sense, but apparently I do, so that's interesting. But I hope you guys are learning something so far, so keep sticking with me here, because I want to really dive in on this helmet stuff. Now let's talk about the correct time to wear a helmet. Obviously right now in this video, I'm on board with my buddy Nate here. He's driving in a Spec Miata race at Willow Springs, talking about why helmets are useful in the situations they are made for. So right now, like I said, we're on board with my buddy Nate. He is currently obviously wearing a helmet. He's in a race car. Attached to that helmet is a neck protector. He is wearing a Hans device or a next gen, something that is tethering that helmet to your body, keeping it from hyperextending in the event of an accident. Now, how is it keeping the helmet from hyperextending your neck, or keeping your neck on its own from hyperextending? Well, that is because Nate here is also wearing racing harnesses. So this is where all of these pieces of the puzzle finally come together to where wearing a helmet makes the most sense. You're wearing racing harnesses, which are tying you down, keeping you tight in the seat. You're wearing a neck protector, which is made to be slotted underneath those shoulder straps, keeping that neck protector firmly attached to your body. And that neck protector is tethered to your helmet, meaning in the event of an accident, your head won't travel very far in either direction, keeping you nice and planted inside the car. This is the situation that wearing helmets is made for. But that's about it here. I just kind of wanted to yap about this real quick and just kind of get into what the functional uses of a helmet in a car are. It seems like a lot of people aren't really sure, or kind of have this belief that wearing a helmet on the street is safer in all instances, when in reality it is a safety item. Like, yeah, like I said, you know, if there's some blunt force trauma to the head, that a helmet would help, as it would in any other situation. You know, you could wear a full face helmet to class if you want to, but it just isn't really made for the instance that this guy was wearing the helmet in. Hence why it's just really silly. It just doesn't really make sense. But I'll hop out of here. That's pretty much all I wanted to say, just to kind of get a bit more expansion on the whole idea of wearing a helmet in a street car. But hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys for watching.